What's up, guys? I'm back at you here. It is a Wednesday night, and I'm glad to be here. So tonight, I'm going to be talking about um, the man, the myth, the legend, Ronnie Radke, who is a very controversial figure in the metal scene for a bunch of reasons, but primarily because of his reputation, which he isn't shy. He does not shy away from at all. Um, we're going to kind of go over like what historically that has looked like, why he has the reputation he has, and why, in my opinion, I think that he's kind of worked himself into a way that he is at the very least doing his best to earn redemption in the eyes of the scene. Now, a bunch of these woke people that are out there, they're not gonna forgive him for a lot of this stuff because they have no interest in looking past what they hear in rumors. They won't even read into any of these cases, but they also hit him for other reasons because he's very anti-cancel culture, which is one of the reasons that I actually have grown to really enjoy his content. Um, he has been he's been pretty solid on all of that. He's been very kind of he's very like he's kind of a troll on Twitter, that's for sure. But he just put out a brand new album this last Friday called Popular Monster, which you guys probably have already heard at this point. Their single from just a couple, I think he might have come out with a video like a couple years ago. But yeah, this video is insane. It is the new album is so good. He's got one called an album called or a song called Trigger Warning, but it starts off with this song called Prequel, which is like it kind of sets the tone for the entire record. And my God, if you guys haven't listened to the new album, it needs to happen like ASAP. I'll kind of walk through what that album looks like. Maybe bring up a couple things that are from his feed here on Twitter. Man, it's been hilarious. Like he has just been trolling the shit out of some of these losers that are oh, Fallen Universe sucks. Oh, sorry, loser. Guess what? We're selling out stadiums. So it's been a pretty interesting journey because I actually have known about Ronnie since pretty much the very beginning, around 2005, 2006. There was a time when they had on Pure Volume. I don't know if anyone remembers Pure Volume, but they basically would have like a free song. Like about a lot of bands would go on there and just like give out a free song. And one of the songs that I had on there was called "There's No Sympathy for the Dead." And that might have come out in 2006. But that was like really like my first introduction to the band. I was like really kind of just getting into like the whole like emo scene from crossing over from like more of like being like into punk rock up to that point. But holy shit, these guys are fucking phenomenal. And that song, which led into that album, Dying Is Your Latest Fashion, was so good. Probably one of the best debut albums of any band ever of all time. It is like, it will go down in infamy for sure. Now, I will say too, I've had Carson on my show, Carson Allen. He's a old friend of mine from when I lived in Denver. He's one of the founding members of Escape the Fate. And if you guys want to go check that out, just go back just a couple months and check out my channel. You will find my interview with Carson. He's got some new projects and he's even started up like a motorcycle garage, which is pretty fucking cool. And then Omar Espinosa, he's also one of the founding members of Escape the Fate. I played some shows with him when he was performing with a band called Perfect Like Me. This was like, I think after Escape the Fate and before he started some other projects. But holy shit, he's an awesome dude. They were phenomenal as well. He's a really good producer and really good at recording. But yeah, this is like definitely a blast from the past here. Old school Ronnie, he looked like your typical like hair metal dude. And he's kind of grown past that for sure. Now he's basically completely blacked out all of his tattoos. And oh my God, I guess let's just start. Let's watch their newest music video for Prequel. This is like the opening track off of their album, and I'll probably stop it a few times. I don't think YouTube likes playing these things too much, but we'll check it out here.
Dear diary, I've been searching for a higher me. I'm in the sky in the pilot seat, trying to stop my mind from spiraling, and that's irony. I'm just looking for a resolution. I just want to be a better human, but it's hard when everybody's acting stupid. Pardon me if that came off rude.
So he starts off with like this crown of thorns here, and it kind of just like dissolves into his head. There's a lot of symbolism in this song, and it is like, it's amazing. It's gonna like really piss people off and probably offend some people, but I love this because this really is kind of like this album. I think Ronnie is implying like, hey, dude, this is my redemption story, kind of. And maybe not. Like he kind of like has a couple parts where he's like talking about how he's still the bad guy, but overall, like this album is just so good.
I just have a bad attitude with the world and not just with you. It's the side effects of abuse. I admit I'm a little strange. I don't think that I'll ever change. I survived a whole life of pain. You could say I escaped my fate.
I escaped a whole life of pain. You could say that I escaped my fate. That is directly a reference to his first band, Escape the Fate, which obviously we'll find out the story here. If you don't already know, Falling Universe is his new band. But crazy story.
Cynical, egotistical, unpredictable, hard criminal, and I could be a little hypocritical, but I'll admit it straight to your face. I'm unbreakable, irreplaceable, undeniably inspirational. I use everything I have available to make me the person I am today. Dear diary, I just had another wild dream. I was in a world that admired me, and when I woke up, I was smiling, and that's irony.
This part's crazy. He's kind of just like walking into the crowd, and he kind of just like has them in his hand. They kind of just do what he says, and you can tell like he's implying like they see him as some kind of god.
That's irony. You talk a lot, but you don't even know me. I'm just hoping that my testimony will inspire y'all to stop acting phony. Pardon me if that came off weird. I don't mean to be mean, I swear. I have been through a lot this year. I just want to make a few things clear. I don't like it when people hate behind my back and not to my face. Nowadays it just feels so fake, so I'll cut the grass to expose the snakes. I'm unstoppable. It's impossible.
This next like couple lines is some of my favorites. Very anti-government, hating the taxes, shit like that. It's great.
Don't want to see the diabolical side of me that never stops is volatile, so I suggest you stay in your lane. I'm unapologetic, you know where it's headed. I will never ever let up off the pedal. I got the spirit of every warrior for me. Ever back the fuck up, get out my face. You slave the labor and you praise the fascists. You kiss the hand that takes half in taxes, faking outrage and being seen. A generation with no self-esteem. It's time to rise up and stand against them. Break the chains and finally see the vision. We're post-traumatic from a broken system. Follow me into the chaos engine. It's time to stand, it's time to fight. Don't be afraid to twist the knife. Your sacrifice to break the curse. Prepare to die, prepare to burn.
And this is just Ronnie Radke's attitude all the way for like the last several years. He is I don't know if he's an anarchist, but I mean I hope he is. It's very like anarcho-nihilist. Like this dude is straight up like a nihilist. Like he's like the world is shit and you know, like let's burn it down type of attitude. He's not a commie, he's not like some kind of Antifa Chad bullshit. We're not talking about Seattle here, but he definitely is like the empire is collapsing, and I'm just gonna be watching all of you guys laughing while it burns is kind of the vibe here. So
abandon hope, it's not enough, cause all our gods abandon us. Your sacrifice to break the curse, light the match, watch it burn.
This is such an amazing cinematic scene right here, and I love this. A lot of people are gonna get pissed probably, but this is one of my favorite parts of the video.
Let it burn from the start. When everything falls apart.
And that is just beautiful. Like the angels coming up, and like I think like it's the demons coming down from below. This is a beautiful scene. You can see his body leaving his soul, or soul leaving his body.
Everything falls
And like this video is just insane. It's so good. His vocals are incredible, and they literally like I don't know. This guy coming from there's no sympathy for the dead, and like it's not good enough for truth and cliche, to seeing where he's at right now. This is crazy because he's definitely one of those guys who has people like, you know, people love to hate him, and probably some of it for good reason. But um like it's been a long time since a lot of this shit went down. So um I guess we'll like kind of start off this video where some people in the chat, they probably already know about Escape the Fate turning into Falling Universe and some of the drama that surrounds Ronnie here. But Escape the Fate had Ronnie pretty much up until he had to go to prison, because he was a hothead. He's always been a hothead. Kind of had like a kind of like violent temper to him. And his best friend, which is one of his roommates growing up, Max Green, they he got into some fight, and someone was picking on Max, and they kept taunting, trying to fight. And one of these days, Ronnie, back in, I think it was 2006, at some point. Let me see here. I think it was 2006. Yeah. Yeah, they went, and Ronnie was just like, fuck it. Like, let's meet up. Let's bang. Let's fight. And they met up at Shadow Ridge High School, which is in Nevada. And Ronnie brought, you know, a couple people with him. I think he had 4 people with him, including the Raider brothers. One of them had brought a gun, and they pull up on scene, and they essentially were going up against what the records show as 12 people. And one of them had a gun as well. I was trying to look into exactly who it was that had the gun on the other side. Was not able to find it at my immediate disposal. But essentially what happened was, one of the people on the opposing side, which is the side of Michael Cook, opposite of Ronnie Radke, one of those folks pulled out a gun, and one of the Raider brothers who had the gun on Ronnie's side pulled out theirs and started shooting back in self-defense. And this was obviously after the fight had already begun. Ronnie Radke had a pair of brass knuckles, is what they're saying, and he was beating the absolute shit out of somebody. But yeah, like essentially one of the Raider brothers ended up taking the life of Michael Cook, and one of the other guys that was over on that side ended up getting shot like 6 times and surviving his injuries. But nobody ended up getting arrested. So the Raider brothers essentially, like, they found that he was acting in self-defense. And Ronnie ended up getting actually pulled up and went in off of a charge of owning brass knuckles and like, you know, a dangerous weapon or whatever. And he pled in court to essentially what was a battery charge. And he had to go on, probation, all this stuff, get into drug classes. Um, and he didn't follow the rules there. So they picked him up and they sent him to prison for about 2.5 years. He was sentenced to, I think it was like, I want to say it was like 28 to 48 months or something like that. And he got out at 2.5 years. But that was the final straw for Escape the Fate. They kicked him out. And from that point, Ronnie ended up putting together his own little project in prison or in jail. He started falling in reverse. He was it's kind of wild because he pretty much came out swinging like right off the bat. He got out of prison, I think it was in 2010, and that's when he announced his first recording, which he came out right off the bat with the single "Raised by the Wolves." That's still one of my favorite Falling in Reverse songs. It's kind of part of his story, and that's something that's pretty consistent with Ronnie. He tells his life story through his music, and there's definitely a bunch of parts in there where he will call out certain people and kind of like not name drop, but like make super subtle hints that like, hey, this is about this person that wronged me at one point. And also, like, mind you, at this time, Escape the Fate and Falling in Reverse, they fucking hate each other. Ronnie was fresh out of prison, and he was on a mission. Like, he fucking hated a lot of people that didn't stand up for him or have his back. I know it's pretty wild, but he had a very long history of narcotics and drug use and all of this beforehand. It turns out a couple years after he was released, I think it was in 2012, Ronnie Radke did get picked up on domestic violence, and that eventually got taken down to a misdemeanor, which was interesting because I guess like a lot of the charges got dropped by his then girlfriend. She ended up posting like a picture on social media of him, her with a black eye. But I have no doubt like something probably happened there. Eventually Ronnie Radke pled no contest to disturbing the peace, which was the essentially, the lesser charge of the situation. Like, obviously that implies that there was definitely a fight that happened. I don't know if he's still sober. I saw in the chat, is he still sober now? I don't know if he is sober now. He could be. I mean, I know that drugs played a number on him and made him do some crazy shit. Not to fully blame the drugs, but and then a couple years after that, or around the same time, there was an incident at one of the Halloween festivals at Six Flags in Jersey, where he threw like 3 microphone stands into the crowd, and it ended up making 2 people or one person go to the hospital, get like a bunch of stitches. 16-year-old girl, and then a 24-year-old dude was treated at the scene. He was charged with simple assault on that, and Ronnie publicly apologized. Like, I think he kind of just fucked up, was in the moment. Definitely like one of those things where like he regrets doing that. And then the big one, I mean, what's bigger than like getting accused by a lot of people of being a murderer, which Ronnie's not a murderer. He never killed anybody. He never was even like on manslaughter charges or anything like that. He basically, there's obviously, you're a rock star for that long, you're going to eventually get some kind of rape charge or something thrown at you. So back in 2015, Ronnie and his bodyguard picked up somebody and put them in the back seat. They were going to go to a bar. Ronnie basically said, fuck this, and dropped her off on the side of the curb. because she was belligerently drunk. And she ended up calling the cops and making a false accusation that Ronnie raped her with his bodyguard. So she said it was some kind of gang rape. Um, Now they did all kinds of testing. There was no body fluids in the car. There was no results like suggesting anything from like a rape kit or anything like that. And the woman ended up essentially lying to the cops, is what it looks like. And Ronnie sued her for defamation, and he won. So it's kind of crazy. And that was back in 2015. So now fast forward 8, 9 years, he's put out, I think at this point, like 5 albums with Falling Universe. And like he had the one album with Escape the Fate with a couple demos and an EP. And then, yeah, he's done 5 total albums now with Falling Universe. He also did have a mixtape back in 2014 where he's basically rapping. But Popular Monster starts off with that song we just listened to, which was Prequel. And holy crap, I love how this thing started off. The tracks are Prequel, then it goes into Popular Monster, which is a song that's been out for a couple of years now. Fantastic. Here's what I love about this album is that he has like some really cool features on this album. One of them is Jelly Roll, who's kind of also known as being one of the outskirts in the country music scene. He used to be kind of a rapper, but at this point he is, Jelly Roll's kind of his own story of redemption. He came into the country music scene, blew up, and despite what he looks like, which is kind of like people's biggest gripe against him, he ended up he's basically topping the charts in the country music world. He also has a song called Ronald, which featured Tech Nine, who is definitely one of the outskirts of the rap world. He's definitely like an alternative rapper. He's known for like kind of touring with metal bands and stuff from time to time. It also had Alex Terrible in it. He did a song called Bad Guy, where he's basically like admits, like, hey, I am the bad guy. But what's funny is that he actually has his wife, Soraya Beavis, who used to be like a WWE wrestler or a wrestler of some sort, in the song with him. So that's kind of wild. He has the album or the song Watch the World Burn that came out as well recently with Zombified. Fantastic music videos. One of my favorite songs on this album is called Trigger Warning, or my favorite songs on it. Trigger Warning is pretty cool because it's like super like anti-government, like basically like just telling people like to not trust the government the whole time. And then the album ends up with No Fear, which is Ronnie asserting his confidence, and Last Resort, which is reimagined, which he basically just redid Last Resort by Papa Roach, like a softer, very beautiful version of that. Now, Ronnie is not a perfect human, I gotta say. Like I've known who Ronnie is for a very long time, and he has done some wild shit. He's lived a crazy life, but I don't know. I think he's at least with his recent albums and stuff, he's trying to earn his redemption here. And one of the things I appreciate about him the most is that even after all this COVID stuff that happened a couple years ago, that might have made him more extreme. A lot of bands were out there, they almost lost their livelihoods because they weren't able to tour without getting a shot. They weren't able to say what they want anymore. This is really like it's not like a new problem in the music world that people have to watch what they say, because people get offended and because people are too woke, and people will try to cancel them. But honestly, just over the last couple of years, bands are actually, venues are closing down. Bands are having to quit because bands aren't getting shots, or bands are saying things that are wild. We just saw, Kyle Gass basically get Tenacious D's entire tour canceled. And that joke was probably in bad taste about Trump's getting shot, but at the same time, like as an advocate for free speech, these guys were comedians, and whether it's funny or not, whether you find it funny or not, they're there to perform, and some people did laugh, including Jack Black, if I remember correctly. Then they feel so bad afterwards after they finally see how many people they got butt hurt over things. But Ronnie's one of those dudes who's basically cancel proof. They have thrown everything at him possible. He is he's a phenomenal rapper. But I think like in terms of music, he's a fantastic musician. He has consistently put out great music his entire life since he was like 15 or earlier. I think his first band was actually a pop punk band. It kind of sounded like Blink-182, and I've never actually heard any of that music, but word is that they sounded exactly like Blink-182, which is pretty cool. But to see his progress going from this like really like kind of edgy, almost like Motley Crue looking dude from Escape the Fate, where he's like trying to live that rock star life, and he was at a very young age, to being thrown into prison for a couple years, to releasing 5 albums, and now, despite all these things working against him, false rape accusations, multiple like assault charges from his distant past, this dude is fucking selling out stadiums. It is one of the craziest things I've ever seen, but like this guy's selling out stadiums in seconds. It's not even taking days in some cases. He is completely selling out stadiums. And I remember back in, it was probably close to 2008. This was before he got sent to prison for sure. I was at a show in Colorado Springs, Colorado, seeing them at a venue called the Black Sheep, and they were playing with my friend's bands, which was called Caramel Carmela. They were like a little kind of like emo hardcore band, kind of like electronica type stuff too. This was at the Black Sheep, and I actually remember them telling me stories of like him almost getting in fights backstage then. And this was like I said, before he went to prison and stuff. But Ronnie's not afraid of his past. That's the one thing that is extremely obvious, especially with this new album and the last couple of years. He puts it out there. Like he knows what he's done. He knows that he's been a bad guy. Shoot, he even has a song where he calls himself the asshole, right? Like, I am aware that I'm an asshole. But then he's just like, yeah, but you love me. It's like, this is just part of me, and you can hate me if you want. You love to hate me, but this is just part of the package. I don't think there's any doubt. Ronnie knows too that he's an asshole. But if anybody has overcome enough to like earn kind of like a redemption, I think Ronnie Radke, Falling Universe, at least deserves a shot. And I gotta say, just because you do something really stupid, it shouldn't haunt you the rest of your life. Now it's been about 10 years since the last crazy thing he's had to deal with in court. I think people can be rehabilitated. People can change. It would actually surprise me if I saw Ronnie doing anything like that again. I did see in the chat that it looks like he is sober now, which is awesome. Hopefully that will help him not fall back into those problems again. But it kind of reminds me of, I don't know, like I can forgive someone. I really try my best to separate the art from the artist. And that's not always easy to do. It's actually really hard to do in some cases, especially with people like, there's some bands that I just can't do it with, like Brand New, and like definitely Lost Prophets. Both of them like are, guilty of getting with like underage girls and all this crazy shit. I can't forgive that, and I won't justify it, and I won't even listen to them. I can't listen to them at all anymore. Now Ronnie is been in altercations with women. I have no doubt that he has probably hit a woman, especially back in those days. But from what I'm seeing, I think that like he's really rehabilitated dude. He's changed quite a bit. You can kind of see it in his attitude. Um, People know that he knows he's being watched too. He's not gonna like fuck up again. Like he would lose a lot. What he would lose for getting into some kind of trouble like that right now is astronomical. He's literally selling out every show, every tour, every stadium in days. And yeah, I mean, I don't put these guys on some kind of infallible pedestal where like they're perfect people and they can never commit sins. And I think that at least he knows he's imperfect and he is self-aware of that situation. So I think he's keeping himself in check, and he's got like a shit ton of fans that can try to keep him in check too. I mean, it didn't work in the past, but he's a full ass grown man now. He's not a kid anymore. He's not addicted to drugs. I think he's doing pretty good. He's definitely doing good on his music, because holy shit, this album from cover to cover is just phenomenal. Now I got to say, like, looking through the other songs on Popular Monster album, it like, if you're looking at even song like Watch the World Burn or Zombified just about like everybody essentially just like turning into zombies and doing what they're told. Watch the World Burn is a very like another nihilist song. This whole thing has like a kind of like a dystopian feel. All the videos have like insanely high production value. The new video has probably the best that I've ever seen from one of their videos. And I'm excited for where this goes, because the end of that video actually ends with like, it implies that there's more to the story. So we'll see where it goes from there. But yeah, like I actually kind of, I love that the symbolism that they had in this first music video, or this for prequel, because I could almost see people like looking back at this 20, 30 years from now and being like, oh man, maybe he was kind of like, no, I'm not saying like he's Jesus or anything like that, but like he was kind of prophetic. You know what I mean? Like he was a prophet. He's up there on the cross and people are like, this is obviously, that was kind of a story about his life and how like people are trying to crucify him and he's trying to gain redemption. Right. But ultimately the world is falling apart and we're in a shitty spot and we're trying our best to get through it in whatever way possible. But I think it's inevitable at this point. Like the world's going to keep falling apart, and I'm not trying to be black pilled or like a nihilist. I'm not a nihilist. But I do think that at the very least, people should be prepared for that and should consider. So prequel really is the beginning chapter of a chapter beyond Popular Monster. Yeah, that's what the homie Joe said here. All the videos line up as a story. Now, I would love to watch them all in order. I know that there's a few of these songs that don't have a video out yet. All My Life was hilarious because it had Blair White. And that was like completely unnecessary to have Blair White in there, but why not? Just fucking throw Blair White in there. She's fucking awesome. And then Ronald, that was fucking great. Watch the World Burn, Zombified, fantastic. I think one of my favorite videos that I've seen from them, though, in general, definitely Voices in My Head. It has every single version of Ronnie Radke coming into one place, fighting each other. So I wish the transition between the song before Ronald and the album was better. It's really hard, though, to switch from Jelly Roll, All My Life, basically Ronnie's country music song, into Ronald, which is probably one of the heavier songs on the album. I don't know, Alex Terrible was great in that too. That shit was heavy as fuck. Which I'm pretty sure Alex Terrible and Ronnie had a falling out and a beef for a while there too, and they must have made up made amends. I don't know. So this kind of leaves it up. For me, Ronnie has done enough to earn my forgiveness. I don't hold his past against him. And I actually think that like he has a very bright future. I think he's probably the best band in the world right now in the metal scene. I know that's probably a controversial thing to say. In terms of like popularity, in terms of what he's doing to fight cancel culture. This dude has a platform and he's making the most of it. I gotta say, I think that Ronnie's gonna go off and just be one of those absolutely legendary people. And I love that he can rap too. Like he's got so much rap going on in these last couple albums. He's been doing that pretty much since he got out and dropped that mixtape back in 2014. But very, very good. There we go. Ice Nine Kills and Falling Universe at a show. I'm pretty sure that they have played together back in the day. Ice Nine Kills is like kind of like horror rock. They're kind of like, to me, for a metal band, they're a little bit too poppy for me. But I don't know. That's kind of where I'm going to be wrapping up, leaving it off here. Yeah, I'm sure that Ronnie has a great legal team. He's been in and out of the court system enough to need it. But yeah, he's going against, I know, Facebook, Meta, whatever. Yeah, the new album's great. I know they have Black Veil Brides on that too. Tech Nine's on that tour. Some good shit. So anyways, that's pretty much where I'm going to leave it for today. I just kind of want to like give an update. My guest for tonight got moved to next Wednesday. It was Spike Cohen. And he's going to be on next Wednesday from 8:30 to 9:30. I do have a show on Sunday afternoon as well. I believe it's Eric Breakey this Sunday. That'll be fun. But yeah, hopefully you guys can tune in for those. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat or hit me up on Twitter at the Emo ANCAP. Do not forget to like and subscribe. And I've got this cool little fancy little outro video that I just made. Hopefully you guys like that too. We'll figure it out. Bye.
Coming for the throat!